a SAT math session on mostly systems of equations, which is systems of two linear equations, which we see a lot of on the SATs. But we're going to get started. So um, these are questions directly from the College Board. So this question, if you notice here, it is rated as difficult. I mean, I don't necessarily think that it is, but it's rated as difficult. So we're looking at what system of linear equations is represented by the lines above. I must say, from the onset, this is copied a little strangely. So each A, B, C, and D has two equations. So if you would put a line maybe right down through here, these are the two equations, right? So for answer choice A, it's 8x plus 4y is equal to 32. And the second equation is negative 10x minus 4y is equal to negative 64. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind, and it goes on from there. So each A, B, and C has two equations, and we have to figure out which choice represents the two lines in our graph, right? So the first thing we should notice is that both both um, both lines have a negative slope, right? That's one thing. A second thing that we can immediately notice is that they both have an x-intercept of what? Of 8. X-intercept is 8 of 8. So we can examine quickly these equations. We're looking for, I would go with the x-intercept first, right? So if we look at the first, I'm just going to write the first for answer choice A. It's 8x plus 4y, and we're saying that's equal to 32. But we're looking for an x-intercept of 8. Remember, when we have, for us to have an x-intercept, that means our y value right here would need to be 0. If that is 0, this whole thing is canceled. And then if we divide both sides by 8, x is going to be equal to what? 4. You can ignore answer choice already. The x-intercept is 4 for that one. We said both x-intercepts are 8. So if you got an x-intercept of 4, you know that cannot be the choice. So now we can quickly move through the other one. So notice that here, strategy is important. The key thing here is really strategy, right? The question becomes very, very easy if we can identify and isolate a very, very good strategy. So now our strategy is just to find the x-intercepts, right? We'll take my second equation from B, the first equation from B. And I can see once again, and I'm just writing it out for you. The goal is for you to be able to do a lot of this mentally, right? We can see again, this is going to be 0, but I'm trying to find the x-intercept. And then x is going to be equal to what? 4 again. So B cannot be it, right? This time we're going to look at the second equation. So we know that A and B are out. A is out, B is out, right? So this time let's look at the second equation. And it really does not matter. We're looking for an x-intercept of what? Of 8, right? So negative 8x plus 10y is equal to negative 64, right? We say this is going to be 0, and this is negative 64. So x is going to be what? 8, because we're dividing negative 8 by what? Negative 64. And x is going to be equal to 8. That is true, right? Let's see for the second one. Let's see for the first equation. So for this one, we're saying that's true, right? The x-intercept is 8, right? So this is true. Let's see for 4x. We're looking at C. 4x minus 10y is equal to 32, right? And this is going to be 0. Y is going to be 0. X-intercept y is 0. And then now we have 4 divided by 32. X is going to be equal to what? 8. This totally checks out. That totally checks out, right? So both of the equations in C have an x-intercept of 8. Now let's check to see if they have positive, if they both have a negative slope. Let's check that quickly. And this will be, as it stands now, this seems like a viable choice, right? Are the slopes negative, right? How are we going to determine that? Well, I can look right here. I'm going to use the first one as an example from C. 4x minus 10y is equal to 32, right? And slope is all about, we're thinking about y is equal to what? Mx plus b, mx plus b, right? And we're looking for this m. In other words, when we're trying to find the slope, to identify the slope, we're solving for f, for solving for y, right? And we're going to just do that quickly. So negative 10y. I want to be inclusive here. I don't want to take too many shortcuts. Well, we need to take some shortcuts, right? Because remember, you have a very limited amount of time to answer the questions, right? So if I divide everything by negative 10, when I say everything, each term by negative 10, and negative 10, I really don't care about the y-intercept. I'm just interested in identifying the slope, if it's positive or negative. And I can clearly see here that y is going to be equal to negative, positive, actually positive 4 over 10 y, right? So this is a positive slope. This cannot be my answer. That can't be my answer. That's out because that slope is positive. We can clearly see that our slopes are both what? From left to right, they're going down. So they're negative, right? From left to right, they're going down. They're negative. Our answer must be D, right? Let's see why. Let's see what's going on with D. Remember, these videos are going to be a little bit longer than it would actually take you to answer these questions. You can answer these, like a question like this, you probably can answer this in about 20 seconds, right? Just moving very effectively, efficiently, identifying your approach and then executing that approach. So let's look at D. So D must be, if I divide 4 by 4 and 32 by 4, I'm going to have and y is going to be 0. I'm going to have a x-intercept of 8. I'm going to do the same thing for this. If I divide negative 8 by negative 8, and then negative 64 by negative 8, it's going to be 8. So our slopes are what we want. They're correct, right? Now let's look at the y-intercepts. So I'm going to take a look at 4x plus 10y is equal to 32, right? And I'm solely just interested in the slope at this point. So I'm going to take my negative 4x to the, I'm going to take 4x to the right. In other words, I'm going to subtract both sides by 4x. This is going to give us what? 10y is equal to negative 4x. I'm ignoring the 32. I guess just put it there so we can avoid confusion. Then we divide everything by 10. So y is equal to negative 4x. Negative 4x divided by 10 plus 32 divided by 10. And by the way, this is the y-intercept, right? And let's see if that makes sense. So the y-intercept for one of these is going to be like 3.2. Well, that's obviously this function here with a negative slope of negative 4 over 10. So that's this line right here, okay? So that works out perfectly, right? So let's look at the next equation. So negative 8x minus 10y is equal to negative 64. So if it's negative 64, we're taking the 8x to the other side. It's going to be negative 10y is equal to 8x minus 64 again. And we divide by negative 10. And this is going to be 8 over negative 10. That's going to be a negative slope, minus 64 over 10. So that's a negative slope. So that's what we want, right? And you can take a look at it. Negative 64 over negative 10, I'm sorry, is going to be a y-intercept for this second equation, negative 64 over 10, positive 6.4, which is right here. So it all checks out. So that's question number 1. That's a lot, but let's move on to the next question. Trying to erase it. So we're going to move on to question number 2. We may not have to even do that. We can just scroll up, I think. Just scroll up. Yeah, it kind of stays there. Okay, this is different and quite good.